Hey guys, welcome, and today we've got an interview with David Stone, who is a director, and he's going to talk to us today about different kinds of job roles in the film industry. So, hi Dave, you okay? I'm good, thank you, James. I'm good. Good. I just wanted to kind of talk to you today about different roles in the media business. So first I'm going to ask you about your job role, and you are a director, is that right? As a director, I basically control everybody. Well, I don't control everybody, but I watch over all of the actors, all of the sound operators, the camera operators, the special effects. I meet with location scouts. I do a lot of that kind of side of it. So I do play quite a big role in it. Sometimes I write the scripts, but sometimes I get people in. So basically what I do is I will say, here's a story that I want to be portrayed and told. I'll go to investors and I'll say to them, I have this idea for a film or a TV program, and basically I'll pitch them the idea and they'll say, oh yes, we're going to fund that, or no, we're not going to fund it. But a lot of the time it is no, but then you will find people who will say yes, and as you get bigger and bigger as a director, more people are going to say yes to you. It's just when you're starting out at quite a young age like I did, a lot of no's because people are like, well, you're young, you don't really understand. They think you don't understand, even though you fully do. So that is what I do. I direct the rehearsals and the proper performance. I go to auditions and I sit there, I go through these hundreds and hundreds of people just to pick the right one. Maybe hundreds of people could audition for one part, and I'll have to go through all of their videos, I'll have to be there, I have to meet with them, and I'll sometimes do an interview. I'll get down to about the last 10, me personally, I do an interview with them. I say, these are the questions I'm going to ask. I say, is that okay with you? They say yes. We then go through it, and if I like them, then I'll definitely think about hiring them and casting them for the part. But it's a long, long process. It's longer than when I first came into this. It's longer than I thought it would be. But you know, it's kind of what happens. So yeah, that's kind of what it is. So we do the pre-production, obviously, with sort of the script writing, getting the financial stuff out of the way, and then when it comes to the actual post-production, I work very closely with the editor. Very closely. We sit in a room, we edit, we get basically the story done, but yes, I could probably talk about that later with you. Yes, so that is pretty much what I do. So what kind of pay does a director get from like the lowest to the most? The kind of money side of it. Yes. So kind of I found when I first started out that I was getting about £50,000 a year, that kind of money. But I had a little look into it, see if that was right, and the average is about £50,000 to £160,000 a year. Now, you get your big uns, you get your Peter Jacksons and your Steven Spielbergs, you get all of them, and they're in seven-figure salaries, mainly because they get a certain percentage of the money that they get for the film. So let's say I'm Peter Jackson, I've just bought out The Hobbit Part 2. Now, if that says it makes 72 million at box office, let's just say hypothetically it does, and I get a 10% cut as the director, I've just then now earned £7.2 million or dollars, whatever you want it to be, just because I get a cut of what the film makes. The cool side of it is, am I right in saying that there are many different things such as a camera operator, the clapperboard, sound, all of them kind of different things, am I right? Okay, so could you talk to us about being a camera operator? So the camera operators, yes, what they do, they basically just film. I mean, there is actually a list of what they do. They do things like they set up and position the equipment for where I say I want it. I sometimes let them plan the rehearsals of shots, like plan the actual shots, and sometimes I'll say, okay, I'm going to be doing this, so let's say I'll be in a meeting with the location scout or editor. I want you to do a rehearsal of a shot, tell me how it is. And sometimes I can go on their decision, but sometimes it's not the best way. So what else do they do? They are very good in the fact that they go through the script, the camera script, and they take directions from me or the producer or someone. So if we say we want camera A moving to the left, or we want camera B to do a slow zoom pan, they'll generally do it, but sometimes they'll say, how about we do this, I prefer this shot, and generally we'll give it a go, because that could then be like, it's like 2 shot 2 or something. You know, it could be that kind of thing, take 2 or something. So they do kind of do that kind of thing, what I like. Okay, so definitely the kind of pay that they get is around about an average of £30,000 a year. It's not too bad, but it's not really that bad. I'd be happy with that kind of money, you know. If I was doing that, that'd be my kind of money. But as I say again, that's the average, so that's the kind of middle. I mean, there are people who get paid a lot less, and there are people who get paid a lot more. I mean, in this industry, that's always the case. Always the case. Oh wow, that's really interesting. So they just film what's going on basically, and they film the shots that you and the editor later on put together as the story basically. And there is a research side, obviously there's always a research side in these kind of things. So what kind of research people do you have? Research type of position, I would say, is a location scout, like for different sets. They go out, they ring up companies. Like I had one who just rang up non-stop, absolutely non-stop, different places to get all these different sets. And then because after they've done that, I then have a meeting, and in the meeting they'll lay out all of the places they've seen, the description, when we can use it, pictures. So they definitely do a thorough job, I would say. I mean, they have to, because these will be used in the actual film, or TV show, or whatever you're doing. So we get a meeting, and we will say something like, this one's good, but then the location talk about, yes, but could be quite slippy, there's always rainfall or something. And then, over time, we will both figure out, well, it could be a team of them. I've worked with teams of them before, so it isn't always just one person. But the team of them could be like, one person could say, we'll finally come down to a decision, and we'll use them. So that's really what they do. But it doesn't sound much compared to like what I do, or a camera operator does. But it definitely is a hard job still. Definitely worth the money they get, because I mean, they've got to ring up all these different places, they've got to travel, they do all of those different kind of things, and hats off to them, they do a fantastic job of it, absolutely fantastic. So another editor, what does an editor do? Like what does an editor do generally in the media business? So I know that they edit the footage, but is there anything more to it, or is that just it? So the editor is, I work very, very closely with them. Now, the editor, everyone thinks just edits, and they do edit. But I've had ones who have had many different styles. So I've had some who love to come while on set, so they get to like see behind the scenes. And then I've had some who don't do that. They come in as soon as they have to and leave as soon as they have to. Because they don't want to know anything beforehand, they don't want to see the set, they don't want to know the actors, they just get in there, do their job. Because that way they feel that as they're making the story, it still feels like a story to them. So when they finally see it, they see it from a viewer's point of view instead of like a director's point of view. What I guess, like both ways work well. I've had great fun working with every type, really, but it's everyone to their own style. So to go in more depth about what they do, I would say they work closer than me. They talk to a lot of the other people. I mean, they work with the sound designers, the special effects team. They work with all of them as well, just so they can get that perfect final finish. And some people think they just get the final shot. Well, in some cases they do, but there's been cases where they've actually gone out and spoken to the special effects teams or the sound teams and been like, this needs changing, I need a new sound for this, it doesn't quite work. So it's a very long job, especially in the editing, the cutting room. In the cutting room it's such a long job because we sit there going over these hours and hours of film for such a long time. And we do that, just absolutely do that, and it's crazy. It's crazy the amount of work is actually put in to making that final cut of the piece, the final cut of that film, that TV show, that documentary, whatever you're making. So much time and effort goes into it. It's crazy. It really is crazy, the amount of work that goes into it. And the kind of financial kind of figures for them is not as high as you would expect. Now, I've worked with people who haven't been very good, so I paid them a little less. Well, that's not the reason I paid them a little less, is because when I was starting out, I worked with not as good people, but also I didn't have all the money. But I did a little research, and again, to figure out whether what I paid them is enough, and they say that the average is between about £20,000 a year to £60,000 a year. But I guess big editors who work with people like, again, Peter Jackson, Steven Spielberg, they would probably get more than that, but they don't get as much as the director. So yeah, so that's kind of the job roles in the media industry for you. That's pretty interesting. So they work very closely with you in post-production. They work very closely with you, with a few other people, in getting the story that you want right. Wow, that's pretty good to know. Thank you. So guys, that's it from me, James Butler, and David Stone. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this interview type thing. I hope to do a few more of them. That'll be pretty cool. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you had as much fun watching this as I had making it, because it's a pretty different fun thing to make. And I'll see you next time. Have a nice time between now and the next video, and peace out.